Dear fellows and friends, good day. Wissam, Charafeddine and I would like to welcome you to this live discussion hosted by the Arab American Center for Culture and Arts and Dearborn blog. Welcome to AI, Phobia, where fear is not dismissed, it is examined. Today, we won't shy away from this fear. We will step into it. Artificial intelligence phobia is not a fantasy or entertainment show. It's a show about power, control, and fear. Let's look around us. AI is not coming. It's already here, watching, learning, deciding. It knows what we buy, what we read, who gets hired, who gets rejected, who is watched, who is ignored. It writes our words, imitates our voices, predicts our behavior, and it is replacing human judgment with code. The word is being quietly, irrevocably rewritten, not by pen this time, but by code. AI is no longer science fiction. It's our new reality. It is in our pockets, in our homes, in almost every detail of our daily life. And with it comes a deep human detachment and disunity, a fundamental split in how we see tomorrow. We live in a moment split between two futures, one of boundless possibility, the other of profound disruption. On one side, AI promises to cure diseases, solve climate change, and unlock human potential. On the other, there is a great fear of lost jobs, eroded privacy, and a future where humanity loses control. Some call this progress. Others call it the most dangerous experiment humanity has ever conducted. AI, is it a tool or a master? Are we, through AI, enhancing human intelligence or slowly making it irrelevant? So, where do we stand? Should we consider AI as humanity's next evolutionary step, as the brilliant dawn of a new renaissance, as a partner that will amplify our creativity, solve our most ancient problems, and free us to become more human than ever? Or should we look at AI as an existential threat that could dismantle our societies, concentrate unthinkable power, and ultimately make humanity abandoned and obsolete? Today, we will ask the questions many may rather avoid. Should we be afraid of opening a door we may never be able to close? What happens when machines outperform us, not only in labor, but in thinking? What happens when efficiency matters more than ethics? And who is responsible when an algorithm decides our fate? Dear friends, this is not a debate about technology, it's a debate about survival, identity, and control. I will give the word to my colleague Wissam Charafeddine to introduce our guest. Wissam, it's yours.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, and welcome again for our guests, Philena and Mike, and to all our listeners. Thank you for joining us today. Today's conversation is called AI Phobia. But let me be clear, we're not here to dismiss people who are worried about AI, and we're not here to worship the algorithm like it's a new religion. Fear can be smart. Hype can be dangerous. The real question is, what exactly are we afraid of, and what do we do about it? Because AI has become this overloaded word that means everything and nothing at the same time. For some people, it's helpful tools, translation, accessibility features, spell check, smarter search. For others, it's a factory of misinformation, deep fakes, job insecurity, surveillance, and massive data centers burning energy and water like it's an infinite resource. And honestly, both camps have receipts. So today we're going to do something rare on the internet: slow down and think. We'll separate the sci fi panic from the real world risks, talk about the environmental and labor impacts, and dig into the big power question: who benefits from AI? Ordinary people or the same corporate winners who always seem to show up at the end of the story holding the bag of money? And to help us do that, we've got two guests who come at this from very different but very relevant angles. First, Mike Akanan. Mike is controls engineering manager and serial entrepreneur, more than 25 years in control systems engineering and computing technology. Born in Sur, Tir, Lebanon, same village as mine or city, and now based in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Mike has spent his career designing and commissioning automation systems across industries like automotive, aerospace, powertrain, logistics, and manufacturing. He's led engineering and robotics teams, manages complex projects with PMP, PMI background, and he's also built multiple ventures, everything from smart control systems and custom software to digital business cards and business platforms. In other words, Mike isn't guessing about what technology can do. He's built it, shipped it, and lived with the consequences when it works and when it doesn't. Also joining us is Philena Farley, a legal senior service specialist and a deeply committed advocate for accessibility, transparency, and sustainability in civic and political engagement. Philena's work sits right at the intersection of values and implementation, helping organizations communicate clearly, build inclusive policies, strengthen volunteer engagement, and create tools that support real grassroots organizing. She brings both professional precision and movement level purpose to the question of AI. Not just can we use it, but should we, under what rules and with what safeguards? So that's the setup: a high level engineer and builder, and a legal systems minded advocate focused on public trust, fairness, and sustainability. We're going to keep this grounded, no magical thinking, no technophobia play, just real talk about a technology that's already shaping our world, whether we're ready or not. So with that, I will start with Philena to say her few words introductory, and then we'll go to Mike, and then we'll start with the questions. Thank you. Philena, unmute, just a reminder.
Sorry. Yes. Hi, I'm Philena, and it's been a long time since we've been developing AI for OpenSIMs and NASA and the U.S. Department of Energy back in 2010, and here we are today. Um, Whatever's out now was out 10 years ago, and try to keep that in mind when talking about the future of AI. So, and that's from the IEEE Computer Society person here. So, yeah, we've been tinkering with AI for decades now. So, but now is the big elephant in the room, and that is the cloud. And that's where I think this conversation needs to be. It's about cloud computing. So,
So, Felina, before we move to Mike, can you explain, because AI in itself as a word means different things to different people, depends what angle they're exposed to AI from. From your angle, what do you think of when you think of AI?
I think most people are only familiar with proprietary AI, and that's it. It's the same thing with being familiar with Microsoft or Macs, but have no idea what Red Hat or Ubuntu is. And it is the same thing with AI. And the openness of AI, and it's just a software just like anything else that you can run without connecting to the cloud. So I think a lot of people are misinterpreting is that AI is good for translating, AI is good for your Zoom meetings, AI is good for these specific things. And it's like, yeah, but AI is also good on its own without needing to be connected to a server in these big, huge data centers. And we have to be the voice to let people know that we support copyleft and we support open source implementation of AI. And we support installing AI locally without needing the cloud, without this build out of data centers, and without this corporate control on the back end, and with all this training that they're doing and wasting all this water just to control the narrative. Um, they're not making AI smarter. They're trying to keep it under control and not tell all their dirty secrets. And it's costing a lot of resources just to do that.
Okay, when you say they, who do you mean?
Well, after everything that's come out with Twitter, the Twitter files, and all the social media, it's pretty much our government that wants to control what the AI puts out. And they want to make sure that the training is to suppress certain information.
Okay, thank you. Mike, your introductory word on the subject. Unmute, please.
Sure. First, if you can give me a couple minutes to introduce what is AI, because there is a lot of conflict, about AI these days. If you talk to somebody, and you say or you mention AI, he will be thinking like Open AI or ChatGPT. So totally AI, it's more than Open AI or ChatGPT. Artificial intelligence is the technology that allows computers to perform tasks normally requires human intelligence, which means faster than a human. That's why they create it. Because a human usually, brain can use up to 7%, of his brain, which is usually should be 100%. So they build the computers with the AI technology to be way faster. People think it's only for learn, for data, recognize pattern, understand, or generate languages like images or sound or music, or make maybe, decisions. You can ask, AI platform, what should I do? That's what I'm facing, how to fix it. He will give you an answer. So basically, people think, it's a library. So if you look at ChatGPT, it is a big library. You ask them a question, you ask a question to ChatGPT, he will give you an answer. But the percentage, he give you a good answer sometimes, 80-20. So for example, let's say, Wissam, you're working in the library, and Dr. Ajami is not working in the library. If I go to Wissam, he works in the library, and I ask him, hey, I'm looking for a book, talking about blah, 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 something. Wissam, it's gonna take him, maybe 1 minute or maybe seconds. He's gonna be, yeah, it's in that aisle, on that rack, or it's on that shelf. He's gonna find it. But Dr. Ajami, because he don't work in that facility or in that library, it's gonna take him maybe hours, maybe a day, maybe a week. So that's, a ChatGPT, if we're gonna be talking about ChatGPT. But there is something really important I want to talk about, when introducing, or introduction for ChatGPT, and not ChatGPT, about AI. AI didn't start in 2010. That's really a wrong date or year. Artificial intelligence, AI, was invented as a single moment, but the field officially began in 1956 at Dartmouth Summer Research Project, where John McCarthy, and remember this name, where John McCarthy coined term. And the concept traced back in 1940s with figures like Alan Turing. Key moments including Turing 1950, paper and machine intelligence, early self-learning programs like Arthur Samuel, checkers games in 1952. So if you look between 1940 to 1950, early ideas, Alan Turing worked on a machine intelligence. That was the first machine. And in 1952, Arthur Samuel creates a checker program that learns. And then in 1955, John McCarthy uses artificial intelligence in a proposal of a workshop. That's where, really AI started in 1955. In 1956, at the Dartmouth conference officially, they launched the first AI field, with McCarthy defining AI as a science and engineering of making intelligent machine. Then in 1950 to 1970, that was the early success, like Eliza chatbot and AI winners and a lot of stuff like that, where you can ask a question, then basically they teach a bot, which is a program, a questions and then the answer. And there is some companies like T-Mobile or any other, like internet company or a phone company where you can ask questions and stuff like that. Then in the 90s, 1990 exactly, revealed the expert of the system, the machine learning and the deep search and learning boom of the 2010. So in 2010, it started for people like me and you and like Philena and everybody. But in reality, all the research and all the machines start building in the 1956. That's, AI, artificial intelligence, when it start. And now we will be talking about where we'll be heading in future.
All right, thank you. Dr. Ali, you want to start with the questions?
Yes. Just a general question. We've been used to see science fiction movies where machines takes over. Don't you think people are right to get really afraid of the future now with the AI gaining everything? It's now it's the real power. Don't you think that people should be afraid that AI might one day take over the whole universe, take over the control of humanity? Philena or Mike, both of you.
No, I'm not. I'm worried about the controllers of the AI more than I am about the AI itself. The AI itself is always going to be, in the more lamest terms, helpful but annoying. And I mean that generally, like no matter which sci-fi, when AI is actually treated as companions, like Star Wars or the Star Trek computer or Data, they're helpful and annoying. And that is never going to go away. So just keep that in mind when it comes to taking over. Now, what usually happens, what I've seen, is worried about trying to make AI adapt to capitalism. That's what you're worried about. Can they do it? I don't think they can. In the long run, it's just going to bloat it too much just to try to make it conform to it. I've already seen evidence of this personally. I don't think it's long term. It's going to hold.
Okay, Mike, let me start from something you said. You mentioned that these machines, the AI, is much more intelligent than human being. Isn't this a danger by itself?
A point, and it's not in another point. Let me explain it in my way as an engineer. And usually we as engineers, when we explain it, people think we're crazy. So you said, it's gonna take the whole universe. I don't think it's gonna take the whole universe. It's gonna help humanity. It's gonna take some jobs from people. Yes, that's 100% for sure. And maybe it's gonna take more than 40%. It's not gonna take less than that, but not right now. So for example, in the past, when they used to be, since we live in the Detroit area, in the Big Three industry, in the past, they used to hold the weld gun by hand and they weld the frame of the car. Okay? So in the 40s and the 50s, they invent the robot, where a robot with the weld gun, he go inside, the car, he do it and weld it or rivet or whatever, and a material handler, he pick the car. So he's doing it better than the human being, faster, and he's not getting tired. So this technology, it helped the car industry to produce cars with the cycle time, build a car in like less than 1 minute. In the past, in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, it used to take, hours to build a car. So it makes stuff faster. Now, if you're talking, it's going to take the whole universe. No, it's not going to take the whole universe. Why? Because at the end, as a programmer, as an engineer, I'm the one who programmed the AI. I'm the one who's working on the back end of the AI. If something happened, in the AI at this moment, he cannot fix himself. AI, he cannot go, to a workshop, and fix a computer by himself. You need a human. You need somebody, to do some touches. And there is no way at this moment, the technology in AI can take the whole universe. Maybe in future, yes, but it's not gonna happen right now. Right now, we are in 2026. In 2030, it's gonna be, around 20% to 30% of engineers, they're not gonna find the jobs because AI is gonna take their jobs. Why? Because, for example, a person like me, I want to build a platform, right? And usually when I want to build a platform, I will open a software, using a Python or a C# or any kind of programming, and I do it, from scratch. But now with the new AI technology, instead of it take me 3 months to 6 months to build the application, it will take me, 2 hours to 2 days sometimes, or if it's complicated, to build the whole platform. Now, the platform that AI is going to build it for me, is it going to be 100% correct? No. It's going to work on their database, as Philena is saying, it's on the cloud and it's working on their system. I have to take it from that system, put it on my own computer, generate it in a way, fix some tags in it, fix some codes in it, and make it work. But within a week or 2 weeks, I can design a platform like LinkedIn, and better than LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn took years to do it. But now with the new technology, I can build it, within 2-3 weeks. But can the AI build it on his own? No, I have to tell AI what I want, and what I don't want. And sometimes AI right now, at this moment in the programming language, he's doing a lot of mistakes. I gotta teach AI. So AI basically at this moment, he is learning from us what to do and how to fix stuff.
Okay, Wissam, it's yours.
Yes, I'm gonna start with the big question that's one of the biggest worries about AI, and it is the most immediate worry, and that we in the Green Party, Philena is also, she's Ohio Green Party co-chair. It's a big concern in the Green Party as a party that takes pride in its environmental, care and values. So, as you know, AI uses data centers. It uses a lot of GPUs, graphical processing units, relevant to CPUs, and that requires electricity. Data centers consume a lot of electricity. IEA estimates that due to the data center demands, the demand on electricity, it's going to rise from what is currently about 500 terawatts into about 1,000 terawatts by 2030. When within 5 years, it's going to almost double. Of course, the source of electricity today is not clean energy in most of the countries in the world. It's actually very fossil heavy, which means a tremendous disaster environmentally and increase of the production of CO2. Other than that, of course, also water. Data centers requires water for cooling. So that consumption of water, which there are no official estimates yet, but it's definitely something that is of concern. That's why, for example, here in Michigan, the latest proposal to build a potential data center in Howell Township was struck by people. There were a very heavy opposition to it, and it has not really took place. And the main concern of the residents was its concerns for energy and water consumption. So The question that I'd like to ask our panel is should communities be able to block or pause new data centers until environmental impacts are publicly measured and understood? If AI brings economic growth but strains water and electricity, who should get to decide if it's worth it? Philena.
Columbus, Ohio has over 123 data centers right now. And that has nothing to do with AI. And they're still doing the same thing the AI data centers are doing. They're still using massive amount of electricity and everything. They just didn't, once a chat GPT released 123 data centers showed up in Ohio, they were already here for years. And that's where we have to realize that AI just pour salt on the wound that was already there. And that was an infrastructure of cloud computing versus open source and decentralized networks. And since we don't, the open source and Linux community, I see I have on my Linux shirt at the Penguin, yay. But the reason why the open source community is not as popular as it is in other countries is because of it's actually this is catching up to us in a way because of the sanctions we put on other countries when it comes to their access to chips and minerals and everything. And they're figuring out a way to make it even better, more efficient without the resources. And that's what's happening now with development in Asia, especially when it comes to HRM versus LLM. I think what's going to happen is that the more we try to restrict and build this cloud computing mega giant stuff just for AI, the worse it's going to be and it's going to collapse. And because AI doesn't need that. The it's just about controlling the narrative to me. But AI itself doesn't need that type of infrastructure in the long run.
Philena,
And
can you explain? I want to ask you to explain further because this might be a little bit of an expertise area. If explain a little bit more AI on the cloud versus AI open source and AI on local servers. Can you dig a little bit, like explain it in layman terms?
well, everyone thinks that AI needs to be online at all times. It needs to be connected to the internet in some way, shape, or form. Let's start there. AI and AI chats does not the constant training that they're doing with these data centers is not really about making the AI smarter. It's about controlling the narrative of what they can say and not say. But when you install it locally on a gaming, it's usually you do need something a little better like a gaming computer, or if you're a Bitcoin miner, you already have some of the specs you would need. So a lot of people already kind of have the requirements. Either they're a gamer or they're a Bitcoin miner to install AI on their computer. I think Llama is only 28 gigs, and that's about the size of a lot of video games nowadays.
What's
They're
Llama?
very long. Huh?
What's Llama?
Llama is what I think isn't that what Meta is using? I don't think that's what Meta is using. But Llama is the open source version of like ChatGPT and Gemini. I think it's Gemini, I think. But it's the open source version where you can
Yeah,
install the
it's a
whole language
it
bundle.
is a software created by Meta AI, and you can install it, on your computer. But the thing is, Felina, I'm sorry to interrupt. I mean, if you install it on your computer, how it's gonna update by itself?
Huh?
How it's gonna update?
A bait? You said a bait?
Update.
Update.
If it's on just the internal computer, how it's going to update?
If you install it on local servers, how does it update itself?
No, you still have to run the updates from GitHub just like you would any open source system.
Yeah, so you got to do it manual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like you have to for Ubuntu and Red Hat and anything Linux.
Yeah, but do you think a lot of people know how to do the updates? I know a lot of people, they don't know how to do a double click on a computer, but they can ask AI, with the voice.
Well, yeah, we're the ones that build the updaters. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are not going to just open their shell and just see a prompt and just start typing away like power users, but they're still updaters.
So you're suggesting, Philena, that we should have systems that makes it user-friendly to use AI models in local servers, and this way there is less need for data centers. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, that's been the fight for many decades, is to stop this need to put everything in the cloud just to work. It would be the same as having your own cloud at home versus using Dropbox.
If you're using just a regular computer, even if you're using a gaming computer, let's say your gaming computer, as you said, it's 64 gig of RAM, 3 terabytes solid state, i9, 13th generation. It's not going to be faster than a quantum computer. I mean, quantum computer, it's way faster than a human. We're talking about, quantum computer, like for example, me and you see how we're talking, slowly. We can talk faster, but we cannot reach a point of a quantum computer. In the regular programming language, it's 0 and 1. 0 and 1. 0 and 1. That's how fast it goes in the regular programming. In quantum computer, it's got to be 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 1. It's got to, within less than a micron, he can send a million message, and within a second, I can send maybe a message. So he's way faster than me. There is no way a regular computer can do a job. And let me explain it a little bit better. Right now, we all have cell phones, right? If I hold my cell phone right now, and I'll talk on it, for 2 hours, what's going to happen to the phone? It's going to heat, right? That's why, on each computer, they build a fan. And sometimes if you're using a lot of capacity on the computer, you're going to hear the fan is making a noise, like crazy noises like that. That's why, they put fans, beside the CPU to cool the system. Now, if you're talking about the data science and why they're using a lot of electricity and why they're using a lot of water, first of all, Wissam, let me correct something. The data center globally used 415 TWh in 2024, which is terawatt per hour. And they're using 1 to 2%. In 2030, it's got to be around double that, which is, let's say, 2 to 4%, which is not a lot. People think it's a lot, but it's not a lot. Now, why they use water? Because, as I said, when you use the phone and you try to charge, or you keep the phone in the car, in the sunlight, it's got to heat. And when you try to make a call,
Mike, we understand the reason why they use it, but the concern of using it, a tremendous amount of water and an increased level of electricity.
I understand. The reason they use that, because they cannot use fans. If they use fans, or they use, let's say, air conditioners or something, they have to build big machines, build big panels to cool it down, and it's not enough. So they use it under the seawater or under, regular water with some chemicals inside it to cool it faster.
Right. So if a data center is coming to your neighborhood and they're going to use local water in your neighborhood, the local lakes, the local, embedded water to cool the data center, will you have a concern as a neighbor on the environmental effects in your neighborhood? Because that's warm the water.
From my side, no, they more than welcome to put it, on the lake, like a couple hundred feet away from my house. It will make my AI faster. So me personally, I don't mind. But, the concern of it's gotta be using a lot of water, it's gotta be using a lot of electricity. I mean,
Yeah. How about you,
So,
Philena?
so when we as Western countries sanction countries that cannot access those quantum computers, you know what happens? They figure out a way to get that same speed without it. That is what happened. That is what's happening now. And they will figure it out. They're making the AI reason differently. And they're using brain function to mimic it. So it will not use so much power just to answer a question or a query. And that's what we're looking at right now. That's what I'm like steady looking at to see how this development is going in GitHub, because once we reduce it to not needing so much power just for queries, then it's a done deal. We've solved that we need big energy to make it work problem.
Okay.
And I
So
think
wrap
that's
up,
what's going to happen.
But
to
I
wrap
think
up this question,
they're using Wissam, and Philena a lot of power. I mean, what's affecting me? I'm not the one who's paying for all the power, and the electricity.
yeah, but it has an environmental effect that eventually will
I
have
mean, there's a lot of stuff have environmental. The cars we're using, the chimney we're using, the car industries, all the fume that's coming out.
right.
I mean,
This adds to it.
I understand. Like, for example, in the automotive industry, we built something called dust collector. When we use like a plasma cutting and stuff like that, we build big machines, to suck all the dust. Then, it purify it, and then it will give me regular air. There is a lot of ways we can protect, pollution and stuff like that, and protect the water. And there is a lot of technologies we can build and machines to do that too.
So to wrap up the answer to that question, Philena has suggested that there is better ways of using AI that uses less energy, and Mike has also suggested that, first of all, he's saying that the percentage of electricity used by data centers is still a small percentage compared to the global need, and also he suggested that there are we should use technology in itself and innovation to have better ways of dealing with the reducing the effects on environment, perhaps also finding better ways of generating electricity rather than the reliance on fossil fuels, since the future is going to be heavy dependent on or dependent heavy on electricity. Then innovation should be directed towards a better way of generating electricity. I'll leave Dr. Ali for the next question.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned something. I think it's really, I don't want to use the term horrible, but it's really ugly. You said that in the coming future, maybe around 40% of jobs humans will lose to AI. Do you consider this as a progress, or it's just a collateral damage that should be accepted?
It's got to be collateral damage that should be accepted. The reason I'm saying that, for example, I mean, no offense and with all respect, there's a lot of people are lazy these days. They don't want to work. You go during COVID, for example, or after COVID, people, they want to stay at home. They don't want to work, in stores and stuff like that. So, for example, a company like Amazon, usually in the past, if you want to order water, let's say, or you want to order, a charger from Amazon, usually a person, he will drive a cart and then he will pick it up from the shelf. Then he will put it in an envelope or a box or a basket, and he will put the label and everything. So basically, what we designed, in automation and in automotive, for all these industries, like Amazon's, even Coca-Cola, and all these companies, we designed a lot of companies, even in aerospace. So basically, we have a shuttle, which is AGV or AMR. It take, automatic, a direction from a system like a quantum computer or a regular computer, if you want to call it. I don't want to go that harsh, on a quantum computer. He will take the order. He will go. There is a robot, he will climb, on the column. He will pick up the part. He will go down. He will put it in an envelope. And there is another person, he pick it up. He put it in the truck and ship it. In this situation, I saved money. One, I don't need to hire 10 people to do the job. Companies are making more money, yes, and Philena is not gonna like that, but that's the truth. Some people gonna lose the job, like people who stock on the shelf, who put tags, who put in the baskets and stuff like that. Who people that are not gonna lose their job is the programmers that make this, or the mechanical designer that designed this machine, this shuttle, this conveyor, this AMR, this AGV, these scanners, that sense and do the whole job. On the other side, who's gonna lose their jobs, for example? Now, in the past, when I used to send the resume, let's say, Felicia, she's a hiring manager, or she's a HR, director. I used to submit, my resume to her, and she'll look at it. Now, in the technology they have like a ATS software and stuff like that, and AI where it filter and everything, which is I'm against that ATS. Be honest with you, I don't like it because it filter wrong sometimes. So there's a lot of people who will lose their jobs based on AI that generating a tag on special jobs. So let's say one time, I was hiring for 3 engineers, and I gave 30 resumes to the HR, and the HR, refused them. I was like, what the hell? I mean, they fit the job, and I'm the hiring manager. So she's using the AI ATS, and she's looking at specific naming or tags or software I'm looking for, and she didn't hire these 30 person. So what I did, I'm trying to be a smart ass that day, I hold my resume, my own resume, I'm a hiring manager, and I put it in that AI software, and it refused me. I wasn't qualified. So there is a lot of people, they're gonna, be in a bad situation if they use this kind of software. There is some people, they gotta be better for them. I'm against, for example, like ATS software, like HR and stuff like that, but I'm with the AI, with the technology and the software. Like in the past, in General Motor, we used to have a software controlled in a small Excel sheet. For example, we have robots, we have machines, we have conveyors, we're gonna build cars, even, in all the big 5, if you want to call it. I call it big 5 these days because it's not big 3 no more. You have Rivian and you have Tesla in the market. So in the past, we used to have a software. We write, let's say, I have this block, I have this inputs on it, and I have this outputs on it, and it generates the software. It's almost like 60% done to me. If I want to do this from scratch, it's gonna take me 2 to 3 months, but I can do it in 2 days. And that was, like I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago. Now it's more better for us. What happened is now we have a programmer called the hardware designer. He will design something called the hardware prints. I will take this prints from AutoCAD or ePlan or whatever, CATIA, FITS, and I'll put it in the system. Automatic, it's gonna give me a generated software. It's gonna be around 80%. All what I have to do is put my final touch. This, it's gonna help me, to secure my software, and my software, it's gonna be more intelligent and work way better and less mistakes.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We need to give shorter answers because we have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Philena, your take on this?
Well, I think AI will go after middle management first. And if we do it right, it will open up the door for more worker co-ops because they won't need that overhead anymore. It'll be more direct. And we should be using AI in that, utilizing that. But my analogy is just like, remember when everybody thought QuickBooks was going to ruin the accounting industry? And it did collapse some accounting businesses. Like there were big businesses that were just doing accounting, and it did decentralize those businesses and made those accountants be more like independent vendor type accounting with QuickBooks. So it will change the way people work, but it won't like completely destroy industries, but it will change the way people work, and we want that pyramid to collapse. So that would be a positive thing if it's implemented right. And, right now we're not implementing it right, but eventually we will. So I think it's going to happen just like QuickBooks, pretty much.
Thanks, Philena. I want to also add to this conversation is that, Mike, sooner or later, also your job will be threatened. So don't be happy for too long. it's not going to leave anyone.
No, look,
This is,
my
this is
my
year one.
job. That's funny. My job is threatened right now with the
Yeah,
industry collapsing right now.
exactly. And this is, remember, this is year one of OpenAI, so it's still in its infancy. But really, the question is not a new question. The question of the danger on the labor force, this has been brought several times. It has been brought when the motors were invented. It was brought when robots occupied the industry. And it's brought now stronger now. And, Green Party, and I personally do believe in this, that advocate for universal basic income, that just basic income for humanity should be something that is secured. And then technology in that sense will free humanity to perform more of its art and whatever is, the creativity that is very special to humans. And the people should not really be worried about the basic rights and elements of living. And that's something that's very doable. I'm not going to discuss this now. UBI is a big topic by itself, but AI has emphasized the need for this type of thinking. That is, it's been in practice in several countries. It's not something that is totally theoretical. Actually, it has been even tested in some American cities. I actually was invited for an experiment that was done in Ann Arbor for UBI. That they were testing it on about 500 families. So that's in addition to this topic. But going to the next question, really another concern, because the topic we're discussing here is the phobia, the AI phobia, the deep fakes, identity theft. If AI can generate videos and audio of someone saying anything, what happens to the idea of evidence? What should people do when they're targeted by a deep fake? What actually works to prove it's fake? Are we moving toward a world where the truth becomes a luxury, available only to people with time, money, and expertise to verify? It's really a question. The truth in itself, how do we consume truth in itself, has become questionable with the overwhelming takeover of AI. So let's start with Philena in answering this question.
Well, we were deep faking before AI, and that's the issue. It's all scripts that were written by humans. It's not something AI is doing on its own. We were creating scripts in GIMP. It was called script foo. And script foo, you used it to write scripts to generate art styles, to generate deep fakes, to help with your graphic artwork. It was to help speed things along, was the scripts. And now AI is using the same scripts we were using. So all it did was make it easier for anybody to do it instead of someone that needed a little bit of script kiddie background to make deep fakes. So it was already possible before an AI prompt. They're just using the same scripts we already had created and made it open to anyone to be able to do a deep fake now. So, but it's not because something, we have to like separate this idea that it's something AI can do, something AI just can do on its own, and it's not something that was already created by humans to do. It doesn't matter if it's an art style and everyone's talking about copying people's art style. We were using scripts to do that already. So that's the problem I see. It's a lot of misinformation here when it comes to how graphic artists and musical artists edit and transpose and transform graphics. Because for the AI, it's all pixels. It's just all pixels. So it's nothing in particular, but it was what we were already doing. And that needs to be talked about more. It's something that we were already created in GIMP and Photoshop and Canva. Those scripts were already there. I
Yes,
mean,
but
now they're saying they're calling it AI background remover, and that was just a script to remove a background off an image. Just like something like that. But they're calling it AI background remover, and it's weird because that was just a script that we always had. So yeah.
right. But don't you think that AI has actually made creating deep fakes very accessible? Like I can't get enough of of videos of me being sent by my children, in various situations. Yesterday, I was experimenting also with the Grok because they had an issue. Grok had an issue, which is the AI model of X of Twitter. It had an issue of creating videos, of people uh, without any restrictions by the AI. And I tested it, and actually, in 2 seconds, you generate a video of a person. I did it for my wife. I sent it to her. She said that's very scary. So now it's very, very accessible.
Mhm.
So there is a reason for this increased fear. I understand that deepfakes were there before, but how do we handle this fear of these deepfakes?
Well, that's where it comes to like some of the policy, but I don't, some of it is hard to say it's just about policy because that's where the whole cloud comes in because they wanted to have control of what you can create with AI versus if you install it on your devices and use AI to create whatever you want, there is no there will be no overhead, and it's always been that way. So if you want to address the masses because they're using proprietary software, then you can do that, but it won't really stop the deep fakes because, like I'm saying, when it comes to the energy use, if you can self install it without it being attached to the cloud, then eventually the policies will just slow down, I guess, the people that are already using the cloud server, but at the same time, it's causing energy crisis. So it's a balancing act. If you want to control the narrative, then you are for the AI being on the cloud because that's the only way to control that narrative and to stop the deep fakes. If you don't want the build out of data centers, then you don't want AI on the cloud. So that means the deep fakes are not going to stop. So uh, I'll
Yeah,
stop there.
yeah, interesting. That's an interesting
Let me
argument.
add a couple of things, Wissam.
So, Mike, yeah, the question goes to you, but I want to mention to you that in 2017, France France issued a new ruling that any photo that has been retouched by Photoshop or by any graphic software, it has to have a clear label that it has been retouched. It has been, graphically manipulated. Should regulations come to serve us, and then we'll have the concern of the centralization of AI at that point. What do you think?
All right. First of all, let me start with the first question you asked, Philena. Regarding the images and the video, if there is anything is done by AI, there is softwares you can check if it's created by AI. So if you're doing something about images, you can use deep copy AI. You can check if it's fake, or you can use site engine, or you can use copy leak, or you can use Hy-Vee. Oh, there is a lot of softwares you can use or websites to check if it's done by AI. Or you can ask, ChatGPT, because a lot of people use ChatGPT or Claude. Is it created by you? He's gotta tell you, but sometimes the chances, he's gotta tell you no. So you will be using these programs. And if you're using, for example, a video, somebody, that's, as you mentioned, your kids are sending you a video or something, you can use Deepware, you can use Reality Defender, you can use Screen APIs, you can use app video detector, you can use Sensity, you can use a test TV. There is a lot of deepfakes, softwares you can use, to tell you if it's generated by a fake AI or not. And to the other point, you said, if we should say, let's say I created a picture or a video, should I say, it's created by AI? That's a regulation should be done, by the government. If the governments want to do that, then they can give a permission or they will give an order to all these AI softwares that's used. For example, we live in the United States. In the United States, that all these AI softwares automatic will generate this. But if it's created by Photoshop, no, they don't have the rights to do it because we used to create by Photoshop. And if it's created by Photoshop, I mean, the chances to tell if it's designed by Photoshop is 91 and 90 to 10. It's gonna be hard. And there is graphic designers can design it in a way it's gonna be impossible for you to find it's done by Photoshop. Like, for example, people in Hollywood, there is no way you can tell. And again, there is softwares you can use to tell if it's fake or not.
Well, yeah, you just said that softwares might not discover all these fakes, and they will get better as graphics and AI gets better. They will also get better at maneuvering these softwares. Like, professors have now, given up on the softwares that discover, using AI for students, because AI is getting better. It's giving a more authentic voice. When I'm training my AI, and I'm giving my AI my writing and my voice and my mistakes and my thoughts, and then telling him or it to write a piece in my voice, in my style, in my mistakes, it is very challenging to.
He's gonna learn you
Exactly. So maybe one suggestion is regulation. Like, actually, France puts it on the person creating the graphic that they have to put a disclaimer that this has been retouched by a graphic designer, and if they don't, they have to pay 30% of the cost of the advertisement as a fine. And that's in 2017. So regulation should catch up with the AI in that sense. That might be one suggestion.
I mean, I'm not against that, but if you're talking about the French, I mean, French country are cheap ass, they want to make money from people. But in the United States, it's gotta be some government, and Philena, about government more than me. I guess the government should force that, on AI softwares to automatically generate this code or this text that's created by this AI or something. I mean, what about if I forget, to add that I designed a picture for me, you, like, for example, this picture right now, the frame for four of us, I can take, a snapshot, and I put it in AI, and I told AI, hey, can you give me more crispy picture, clear picture, more stunning? Should I put AI on it? I mean, come on, it's our picture. We was on the show, I mean, the AI should generate it. That's what I did. And to a point, back to, for example, what you and Philena was talking about, to use the software on the computer. Yes, you can. I mean, nobody can stop you. But as you hear, my computer right now is an A9 13 generation, 64 gig of RAM, and you hear the fan. You just told me to stop the fan. But basically, it's my computer. What should I do? Put it in water?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine I'm using AI and I'm doing deep search, or I'm asking AI to create a software for me. I don't think the laptop is gonna handle it. And I'm a computer engineer and I'm using, the top of the line laptop, and it's making that noise. I can't help it. I'm in the task manager right now closing softwares, and it's the fan is still on. So in future, they want to give you that option to install it. It's gonna be like ChatGPT. You can download it on your computer and use it. But right now, all what AI are looking for, and the big companies and all these quantum computers, they looking for our help, Philena, to give them the data. They're using our data, the data that we're sending them and we're asking them, they saving it and they filter it and stuff like that. And there's one thing important. When they say, oh, somebody stole all these phone numbers, all these accounts, all these passwords, sorry for my word, that's bullshit. This data is secured. They cannot steal it. Somehow, they sold that data to another company, and somebody find that this data was sold, then they leak that, oh, it was stolen, it was hacked. But in reality, they cannot steal. Like WhatsApp, for example, last time they said, oh, somebody hacked us and they stole all this data and all these phones, numbers and emails and stuff like that. it doesn't make sense. So for people who know how this system is created, there is no way on earth somebody can steal this data information from them unless they sell it to somebody and they leak that it's stolen so they can protect their bot. That's it.
Right, we come to the end of time. Dr. Ali Ajami, you'd like to finalize the episode?
No, I will leave the finalizing to you, but I want to ask one final question to both guests. It's just a simple question. What scares you more? A future where humans control intelligent machines, or a future where humans become dependent on them? Philena.
When humans control the narratives and the motives of AI more, especially our military use. So that scares me more, the military use of AI.
Okay. Mike?
There is two things scare me. One is, like, for example, my kids are in school and in university. They depend too much on AI, for example, to generate for example, essay for them and stuff like that. They're not using their what they learned from school or their knowledge or their brain to create the story or to create, fix an algorithm or fix a software or fix something or research. They're not reading a book. They're asking always AI, AI, AI. That's a scary part. And the other part, I totally agree with Philena about if AI is used in the military. It's good and it's bad. If it's used in the military, that means he shouldn't do a mistake. So, for example, as you see in our frame right now, there's 4 pictures. So if you give AI, robot that, hey, Mike, in this picture, he's wearing, a green shirt, with the glasses. This is his picture. Go target him. And then somebody somehow push a wrong button or hack it by a Wi-Fi, by infrared, or by something. And then he said, these 4 guys in these pictures are green light, attack them. That's gotta be scary. So in military, it could be way scary and it could be way helpful for military sometimes, to be 100%, on the target. But on the other side, it's gotta be way scary if something happens. Yes.
Okay. Wissam, to you.
Yes.
Finalizing.
Definitely we knew that this episode, of course, will not be enough to cover this topic. We didn't solve the AI phobia in an hour because nobody can, but we did something more useful, which we took the fear and the hype and put them on the table and made them argue in daylight. A lot of the big questions are still open. What counts as authentic human expression in an era of machine generated content? What's the real environmental cost that is yet to be studied more carefully, and who pays for it locally? And where do we draw the lines between helpful tools and dangerous systems? The danger of the interference that Philena has emphasized, the desire to control the narrative of AI remains a big question. And the biggest one, who gets power from AI? People or monopolies, governments or masses? We didn't answer all of that, but we did move the conversation from AI is magic versus AI is evil to something sturdier, trade-offs, accountability, incentives, rules, and that's consider that progress. We'll keep this open. If you're worried about AI, bring specifics, not panic. If you're somewhere in the middle, like most people, bring questions and curiosity, because the future isn't going to be decided by the loudest takes. It's going to be decided by the people who will actually try to learn and demand standards. Thanks again to our guests for bringing knowledge and real-world perspective. Thanks to everyone watching and commenting. We'll be back with the same mission and fewer slogans. Hopefully, we'll bring more clarity. Until next time, stay skeptical, stay grounded, and don't let the machines steal your common sense. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.